Right out of the gate, what happened last time?
Are you sure you want to talk about this? Because it's a very emotional episode. All right, cover your ears. I'll recap, cover your ears. So, last episode, Chloe and Sarah are reunited. They go to a little slice of paradise where Sarah knows there's a cottage where they can hide out. We end up learning quite a big reveal that one, Sarah is adopted. Two, she has a younger sister. And three, her adoptive parents decided to leave her behind and just take Lana, the younger sister. So it's real sad. It doesn't get more sad than that, except for the fact that we then reveal that her older brother is unfortunately dead, and he has been for about a year. We learn that he took his own life due to his mental health issues, and Chloe then asks Ryan if she can stay this time. That's how the episode ends. So yeah, a very heavy one, put it lightly. Also, it starts off with Ryan point blank killing John, which that I think everybody was excited about. Sorry, Dylan Robbins. But yeah, it was a very heavy episode. Now we're continuing that heaviness.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Yeah, let's go back to the past and talk about alcoholism and abuse. Lighter topics.
I was hoping you'd ask for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode opens with some disturbing flashbacks.
Yep.
Which really give us like an insight into Ryan and Seth and Chloe's family and their past. Mm-hmm. But how about you talk about it?
It was something I always wanted to show in some way, because like even with the original idea of like doing this as a film series and not a television series, I wanted to show the moment that the father turned to Ryan and stopped focusing on Seth. And that was a big thing for me, because there's obviously a tension between Seth and Ryan, like there has been since the first movie. They do not like each other, but I don't think Ryan can actually explain why. And then we get this reveal in this with the younger kids where, you know, unfortunately the Hatfield father is an alcoholic, he's abusive, and he takes it out on younger Seth, who is played beautifully and almost too close to Colby, it's funny, by Isaiah. And I wanted to kind of show that, like, what happened and caused the father to turn to Ryan. And what it is that Ryan stands up for her older brother, and then he turns his attention to her, him being the father. What that does is that it kind of imprints on Ryan's life that her memory of pain and abuse as a kid was because she stood up for somebody, and that somebody is her brother. So I think that's where that hatred comes from, which is, you know, misplaced, I think, but easy to understand where it comes from, because you're marrying that with so many haunting and unfortunate events where it's hard not to kind of have your mind go like, oh, screw this person because they caused this, when really they didn't. It was the father's alcoholism and all that. But yeah, it's a very heavy moment. And then we end, of course, with young Chloe sneaking her head around the corner and watching it all go down, because she was kind of front row seat to all this. She was never hit herself, but she heard and saw all this go down. So it is very heavy. It is a rather big reveal because of how those actions of the parents caused an entire life of turmoil and pain for Ryan, Chloe, and Seth.
Ooh, it is a lot. One of these days you'll write like a comedy.
Maybe.
Or something.
I might, I don't know. I keep saying that, then I'm like, oh, darker, let's go darker.
Darker!
Yeah.
But I remember actually being on set that day and having the young Chloe and young Ryan, and then we had Holly and Phoebe on that day as well. So we actually have like a little photo of them with their younger selves. So it was really cool.
It's just kind of surreal to see. Yeah.
It was so surreal.
It works, I buy it.
Yeah,
I
would totally buy it. I would totally buy it. But that was such an interesting day that we had shooting that. Now, also though, the like hopefulness of Sarah and Ryan and Chloe being together again is very short-lived.
It is.
Almost like you did that on purpose.
I don't think I'd ever do that on purpose. No, it is. It's. I think like they had a moment of peace the day before with just Sarah and Chloe, but the second Ryan's there, I think there's just this. There's this tension there because I do think Chloe feels like she's going to take off again, and she's proven right because Ryan is about to leave. But then, of course, the twist happens where Luke returns, and turns out that the group that he was looking for was Hanlin Kane's group. Enter Hanlin, Kieran, and Declan. They're cornered, and Ryan immediately shuts down and doesn't say a word. And Chloe sees this and reacts to it. Then we have an amazing fight scene, which is a lot of fun. This scene just added that much more attention to Ryan and Chloe. Like Sarah's trying to introduce herself and all that stuff, and she's trying to be her whole hopeful self, like, hey, we met before, kind of, and shake her hand, doesn't work. But the second Hanlin shows up and Ryan completely shuts down, you really see that on display. Like, Hanlin has a grasp on her that she can't shake, which the reasoning behind that we'll talk about when we get to episode 6. But it's really a shift in, okay, we thought we were good. Now the worst has happened and we're caught. And it all leads to a moment that was one of my favorite moments on set as a director because I saw the actors find things that I didn't even see, which makes me happy because it means that like they are so invested in their characters that they're like realizing things that I didn't even realize. It's really exciting. There's a moment once they kind of get through all the fighting and Chloe headbutts Luke. She ends up hauling a gun and she's had enough and she's like, let go of Sarah. Sarah gets let go. In that moment, as Sarah's safe, Chloe slowly moves the gun over to Ryan. And she's about to pull the trigger until Sarah snaps her out of it and says, we need to go, let's get out of here. And then you kind of see Chloe regret her decision. What Holly and Phoebe picked up on that day is that basically what's happening is Ryan is turning into the mother who is looking away and not doing anything to stop the fighting. And Chloe was turning into Ryan because Chloe was about to shoot Ryan, who's like at this point kind of a bit of a mother figure in a way. So they've completely like almost like upgraded to different roles that they were, you know, used to this cycle of family, where now Ryan's the mother and then Chloe's Ryan. So it's like it's this violent impulse that is there, but thankfully Chloe stops it because I think there's more good in Chloe than kind of her impulse and violence let out. And it was just cool to see because like there's a moment where Phoebe and Holly were talking and they just got it and they just like figured it out. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Whoa. And I was like, what? And they told me, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool as hell. I'm gonna say that it was on purpose. It wasn't, but yeah, totally, yeah, that's really cool. But it just shows like those two care so much about the characters that they are diving in under the layers that I didn't even know were there and finding stuff that just adds so much to the story.
Again, they are those characters. They are them.
Yeah, me and Phoebe talked about this. We're very protective over Chloe. Even to the point where if anybody touches her bat, we're kind of like, put it down. It's not yours. It's bad.
That scene as well, though, where Chloe like kind of has the gun and she goes to point it to Ryan, it's so jarring too because you kind of see in Chloe's eyes her being let down by Ryan because Ryan doesn't say anything to help her.
Like help your baby sister for God's sake, yeah.
Yes, and you can see, and I think like you see Chloe like be disappointed in her and confused and angry at her all at the same time. And then so she finally leaves and she has like a panic attack.
Oh yeah.
I want to say, like
collapses.
She collapses, and she has this crazy monologue where she says, "I'm so sick of my family, and I'm so sick of running." And we finally see her like, yes.
It's interesting with the scene that you're talking about, like with her hauling a gun on Ryan stuff, because like it's exactly what Ryan went through. Ryan looked over and saw that her baby brother was getting hit by her father, looks over and sees the mother not doing anything, and now Chloe's seeing Ryan do the same thing. It's like this complete cycle that they need to break. No, I love when the reaction that Sarah has when Chloe says, "I'm sick of my family," because in the movie, the only thing Chloe wanted was, "I just want my family back." She says it in a scene where she like cries into Sarah's lap.
I just want my family back.
And to go so far to have Chloe say, "I'm sick of my family," it catches Sarah off guard, because at no point did she ever expect Chloe to ever say that, no matter what. And she's seeing her go down a very dark path. You see the worry too, like when Tia is acting and she's showing worry, and she's almost like, once Allie returns to the scene, which we'll talk about in a second, there's kind of moments where Sarah's locking eyes with Allie and kind of being like, she's not good, like despite what she says, like we need help, something's wrong. And there's a bit of a mutual understanding between Allie and Sarah there. But yeah, she's broken. Like she's absolutely broken, at her wit's end. Like she never wants to see Ryan again. They even offer to go find her, and she's like, screw that. She's one of them now. But yeah, it was cool to see that kind of breakdown, and to see Sarah pick up on it, or Tia pick up on it so well. Like this is a huge moment for Chloe. And then of course we have, like I mentioned, Allie returns and the introduction of Andre and Nolan, two characters of Allie's group. So Allie did not die.
Yes!
Ryan did not shoot her, just so you know. But yeah, they're back in the fold, and now we've had another character reintroduced. You know, Luke returned, and now we have Allie returned. So like all these characters that I've set up, and we've set up throughout the thing, they were not one-offs. They were part of a bigger story and all that. One thing I guess we didn't talk about too is like Luke being a wiener. Me and Nick call Luke like, oh, he's just such a wiener, because he turns on Chloe because now he's part of a group. Like he's just so like, there's nothing up here morally and brain-wise. He's like, oh, we're doing this now? Okay, no problem. I'll hold her back immediately, like no care in the world. So he's just become this piece of crap. But now we have good guys with Ali, Andre, and Nolan who are actually trying to fix things. And we get to meet Andre, who was introduced through words in episode 2.
But then we jump to Hanlin, back to
Yep.
Hanlin, and we have this scene that shows truly how sinister this man is and the control that he has over his group.
Oh, it's unreal. Yeah. We get a chance to see that. Like this was the scene that we auditioned Hanlin for. I talked about this earlier in After the Divide, where there's a line in the audition that I knew, like the second I heard it spoken out loud, I knew that was Hanlin Kane. And it's in this scene when Hanlin says, Ryan says, "You don't scare me." And Hanlin says, "Yes, I do." That moment in the audition, I was like, oh, okay, now we got a villain. Seeing it with like the set, the wardrobe, the props, everything, it was chilling. Because it's the first time he drops that demeanor of, I'm not gonna play nice. I'm not gonna give you any patience. I'm not gonna give you any of my time. You're gonna listen to me, and I need you to realize that you're wrong. What you did was wrong. You disrespected me, and I'm not gonna play for it. And one of the lines too that shows how little he cares about his men is when he says, you know, so far you've shot one of my men in the face, but worse than that, you lied to me. As if the lie is worse than murder. Like to him it is, because like you've disrespected me. I don't care about John. John's a body, I can get more. You disrespected me and I won't let you have that. The chemistry between Ryan and Hanlin, chemistry between Holly and Nye is, I wish I could bottle it because it is perfect. Like they just have this intensity to them that raises the whole shoot to another level. Just with the way they look at each other, the way they look away, like the subtlety of like the eye contact and every little movement. Because I mentioned that before, Nye has this ability to make one little move of an eyebrow mean so much to what's going on. And then of course he fires a bullet into her leg. Because you know, that's what you do, right? But the fact that he shoots her point blank, he's so evil in this, he doesn't hide it. And he straight up shoots Declan,
his own man,
to prove a point. Kieran knows what happened, and Kieran still says Ryan did it, when clearly, no. Hanlin's got a lot of power, and this scene is a very good example of like, you can try and run, you can try and hide, you can try and lie to me, you can try and hide, you know, secrets from me, whatever. I'll find out, and you'll pay the price because everybody is on my side and you will never break this barrier. It's arrogance to the highest degree. Will that break? Who knows? But it's a very good example of like, yeah, Hanlin's in control, there's nothing you can do.
And sorry to jump around a little bit, but I mean, it does in the episode, I guess. But we have the scene with Hanlin and Ryan, but then we go back to the hideout, and there's this scene on the couch with Sarah and
Yes.
Chloe.
It's a huge moment. Yeah.
Huge moment.
We really kind of showed Sarah's motivations a little bit in the movie when she's at the church and she's kind of saying like, you know, change your look, change your name, start over. That was more Kelsey. This one we're really showing what Sarah's motivations are and seeing her care so much about family and how, you know, how do you smile through all this? One of the lines that kind of picks us off. And Sarah says, well, what are my other options? I can either smile and hope that this will work out and do my best to make it work out, or I can kind of succumb to the doom and gloom and think that nothing's ever going to get better, and then what? Like, how do we gain anything from that? It is a very honest story that changes Chloe's demeanor from screw Ryan, she's on her own, I never want to see her again, to realizing how important family is and realizing, okay, I need to go save her because I do love her. She's my family, and no matter how mad I am, this can work out and this can be fixed, and I can't leave my sister behind. So it's a very important moment, and Sarah knows that. Sarah picks her words very carefully because she knows that she's struggling. Chloe's struggling. Chloe very much hates her family now, and Sarah knows that's not the Chloe she knows. So to kind of push her in the right direction, like, you know, here's the importance of why I do what I do, and I know that you believe that too. So it's a key moment between the two, and it's honestly the most honest moment between the two, just in terms of opening up and understanding both emotions.
Following this conversation, though, following the scene, that it's decided that they're going to go and rescue Ryan.
Yes.
And it's one of my favorite scenes. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Hell yeah. It's amazing that a hockey arena was our hottest set during the whole thing. That was like a sauna in there. It was, so bad. It was so worth it, though, because it was one of the coolest locations we had. It was the LeBron hockey arena, and it's cool too because like a lot of the dynamics in that hockey arena, we get to play so much with so many characters because it's probably our biggest character day because we had Chloe, Ryan, Sarah, we had Hanlin, Kieran, Declan, we had Allie and Andre, and then we had Nolan. So this dynamic between like, you know, Nolan and Sarah, they have something going on. Allie and Andre, because Allie's something like, Andre, not the time, don't do anything hasty. Chloe's kind of tunnel vision trying to find her sister. We have the kind of banter between Kieran and Declan, which I love and I could watch forever. But you start to really understand like these characters in terms of what they are and kind of who they work well with. What I love too is that there's this kind of hierarchy change that you see, even visually. Kieran now has like a darker and a newer sweater, so it's like, okay, he's kind of leveled up to, now he's taking over John's position. So you're seeing that kind of, he's leveling up while Declan is dripping blood because he just got shot and he's in horrible condition. And then we get to Ryan and Chloe fighting each other, but it was fun. Like the location was cool. And again, the art department adding like all the cots and stuff to show like, yeah, this is a spot that used to be a medical center or like an emergency center, and now it's abandoned and Hanlin takes it over for his own leisure. Like it was just, everything was really cool. And poor Simon though, just drenched in blood. We basically, like every episode, it's kind of like reverse Hangman, where we remove something every single episode. So he's just like a bloody mess in this one. But yeah, it was fun, and getting to do something like that is more actiony and more fun after showing so much heavy drama. I think it's a good kind of break from all that. And then of course we get immediately back into the drama after this.
Right after it. But you're right, in the chase is like, it was the coolest thing thing to film too, and it was so hard to like keep it straight of like who was going where and figuring out the choreography of like.
I think I had like written on the back of my call sheet that day, I had a map written out. It was like, okay, Chloe goes here, then Ryan goes here, and then like, Ryan's over here all the time, and it was Allie goes here, and then we'll do this. Like, it was interesting.
It was a huge arena, and we're just like trying to figure out, and there were so many different rooms that we had to keep coming in and out of, and like it was just it was so interesting. But they do get Ryan out of there. They do. Which was a huge, incredible feat. Very, very, very impressive. And then it leads to this very dramatic conversation, and it's like finally when Chloe finally confronts Ryan after years.
Honestly, a lifetime, because they never had that honest conversation before, really. It was one of those moments that I knew was going to be huge, just because like it is such a massive reveal and undertaking to both of these characters, because Ryan is still kind of that stiff and sturdy person who's not going to let you look into her heart at all, except a little later in the scene. But it was also, what's funny is that, and I didn't realize this until I heard Phoebe and Holly talking about it, this was only the second scene that they had ever done together, because we shot this very early in the schedule. Like, I think this was like day 4 maybe. This was only the second time that they had ever acted together, because in the original movie they only have the one scene together, and this is the second time. So to go from like confrontation and thinking your brother's dead to this very highly emotional scene, good on them, because they like nailed it. One aspect too in this that I can finally talk about now that we revealed it is the bandage on Chloe's wrist. It was a huge thing where you don't notice it until after the opening credits of episode 2. There's a reason for that. Me and Phoebe talked about, like, you know, where did this happen? And what this is that Chloe hit rock bottom. And I think for a very quick moment in time, she felt like going the way of her brother and maybe taking her own life because she couldn't handle what she's doing anymore. And we tried to figure out where that would happen. So that actually happens the night we see the lightning strike in episode 2. So after that, you see she's always got this bandage, and she made an attempt, and she immediately regretted it.
And immediately following that scene, there is this, it's a very moving, crazy, crazy set of where where Chloe and Andre kind of come across this huge gravesite. And she asks, who did it?
Hanlin Kane.
Hanlin Kane.
That scene showcases the title of the episode, Weight of the World. Originally it was gonna be Allie, actually, and not Andre, but when I was reading it back, I realized that Chloe and Andre really didn't have a scene, like a proper scene together. And I also realized that I think it would be interesting as a dynamic, because Chloe had seen Luke and started to trust Luke, and then Luke turns on her, now he can't trust her. But with Andre, it's different. I think she feels that she can trust him, and he does have that Seth kind of energy. Like, he's got his tattoos, he looks, you know, very similar to Seth, like built like a tank, like, and all that. So having that moment between those two, like big brother, little sister type of thing, I think it worked better than having Allie there, because now you have a different dynamic of those two, and it worked so well. This was the moment I wanted where Chloe realized that it wasn't about her as much as she thought. You know, because of where she buried Seth, she could never confront that grave. She'd never even look at it. When she realizes how much death is happening with all these people that were once part of Allie's group, like all of them were part of Allie's group, and now they're down to like 4 now because Nolan's passed. It's huge, and Chloe realizes, like, no, we need to end this. Like, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than us. This needs to stop. And it really builds up the tension. Like, okay, now we're off to the races. Now let's finish this thing.
100%, 100%. It really puts into perspective, like, just how awful Hanlin Kane is. And I think it really gives Chloe that drive to be like, we gotta settle this. And I hope that they do. I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see. Do you want to see the finale? Do you want to watch the finale? Is that what we're here for? Let's do that.
Really? I would love to watch the finale.
We'll make them wait, but we'll watch it.
We'll watch it. Too.
We'll see you next week.
Everyone get ready.
time to end this.
Well,